How's it going, everyone? This is Adam from Slurve, Ship My Money on DraftKings, and I'll be breaking down today's pitching slate for you for August 2nd. Sorry I'm a little late getting it out today, but there's a lot of really good pitchers on this slate and a lot of interesting decisions to make tonight. So starting on DraftKings with cash, I'm mainly interested in David Price at 9,600 against the Mariners and Matt Shoemaker at 8,500 against the Athletics. I think that since there are so many pitchers that are really good, my strategy is going to be able to get as many bats as I can while still using two of those good pitchers in cash, just because they all have not the same upside, but very high upside and very high floors. Price at 9,600 is too cheap for his talent level, and he faces a Mariners team where a lot of their best hitters are left-handed. So I like this spot for Price. Plus, he gets the park shift going from Boston to Seattle, and I expect him to have another good game tonight. Matt Shoemaker 8,500 is way too cheap, and he's facing an Athletics team that's been striking out a lot lately, and they no longer have J.J. Redick, who was probably their best left-handed hitter. So I like Shoemaker today, with his 13% swinging strike percentage at only 8,500. For cash on FanDuel, I like Jacob deGrom at 10,100 against the Yankees. The Yankees just really they were a bad offense, and then they just traded their best hitter in Beltran, and deGrom's price is just too low for the strikeout stuff that he has combined with the poor Yankees offense. And then David Price at the same price point at 10,100. I like him on FanDuel as well for obviously the same reasons that I like his matchup against the Mariners on DraftKings. For tournaments, I like Price at 9,600 and Shoemaker at 8,500 on DraftKings. I also like Carlos Carrasco at 10,500. I do think he has strikeout upside in this matchup against the Twins, but the reason that I'm not considering him for cash is that the Twins are running out a very left-handed heavy lineup, and he gives up a ton of hard contact to left-handed pitching, and on top of that, he only gives up 10% soft contact. So that really has me concerned enough that I don't want to roster him in cash with all these other options on the board. If I decide to really load up on bats, I'm going to want to go with one of the expensive pitchers and then a cheap pitcher. And I think that when most people do that today, the cheap pitcher they use on DraftKings is going to be Dylan Bundy at 4,400. But I would rather use Luis Perdomo at 4,700 facing the Brewers. And the reason it's not that I love Perdomo, but you have to make a sacrifice, obviously, if your strategy is going to be to pay up for the bats. And I think that Bundy will probably be at least like 4 times the ownership of Perdomo tonight. And I would take Perdomo beating Bundy at least 1 out of 5 times in this matchup. So I think it's a good spot to differentiate, because if people construct a roster that way where they have high-priced hitters and a high-priced pitcher, there's only so much they can do. So it's probably going to end up with Bundy. So if you take Perdomo and he beats Bundy, then you're ahead of everyone who constructed their roster that way. And he's facing a Brewers team that I really think is going to end up being similar to how the Padres were at the beginning of the season and how they're hitting. They struck out a ton anyway. Now they don't have Lucroy, who is one of their dangerous bats. It's just a really bad lineup, and Perdomo's got pretty good swing and miss stuff. He had some issues with walks, but that's been getting a little bit better, and the game's being played in San Diego, so I just really like the spot for him. And then on the other side, you have Bundy, who is a much better pitcher, I think, but he hasn't shown an ability yet to strike out left-handed hitters, and he's facing a really dangerous Rangers lineup that has 5 good left-handed hitters in it. So I just think that it's a good spot if you're going to construct your roster that way to just take the chance and go Perdomo over Bundy. For FanDuel tournaments, I like Jose Fernandez at 11,000. He's priced much more reasonably than he is on DraftKings, and it's not a great matchup for him against a really good Cubs team that has a lot of lefties in their lineup. So I think that his ownership probably will be low enough that I want to take the chance on him because he does just have huge upside anytime he takes the mound. deGrom at 10,100, I think, is a good play in tournaments because since he's the same price as David Price, I think he's going to be significantly lower owned. The colors at 9,400, I think will get overlooked on this slate, even though he's facing a Blue Jays team that has shown that they'll strike out against right-handed pitching, especially ones with really good off-speed stuff. Matt Shoemaker at 8,500 for the same reasons I liked him on DraftKings, and he'll be even lower owned on FanDuel since you only have to roster the one pitcher. So that's what I'm thinking for pitchers so far. That may change a little bit in the next couple of hours as more lineups come out. So definitely stop into the Slurve chat or message me on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. Good luck tonight, guys.